This is Kelsey Bernard's teaching narrative response. Let's see, my first comment was about your opening sentence. I wrote, to make this more exciting, you may include a more detailed opening sentence that draws the reader in, which would then help make it more of a narrative instead of simply explaining the situation. So after reading a lot of examples, I felt that narratives, we're a lot like stories. They are stories. So starting a story, you need to have a sentence that can really draw the reader in. So you said, not having my own classroom proved to be a little difficult for this assignment. So immediately it talked about the assignment instead of, the situation, what you went through. My comment, I wrote, to make it more of a narrative, you may add more description about your surroundings. I would love to know the expression on your students' faces. Maybe tell us more about your feelings or emotions about teaching writing, because you said that it was a new experience for you. So I'm sure it was very nerve-wracking for you for your first time. So including little details like that may help you with your narrative writings as well. This whole paragraph with all these quotes, I put great use of describing the conversation. Using quotes is a great example of a narrative. So I loved reading about, what you said, what your students said, so your interactions. I loved that. My next comment is, I wrote, great use of what Ray has explained to us to ensure a successful writing workshop. So you discussed about letting them move around. That's very important because you wanted them to be comfortable, especially since they weren't used to you. My next comment was, I highlighted those two paragraphs and I wrote, these paragraphs are great in terms of being a narrative. You explained the situation with wonderful details that really added to your writing. So it made me want to read more. And again, I loved all your quotations and telling me the whole situation, which is very, very good for a narrative. And then your appendix was a lot of detail, a lot more than I put, but I loved it. Okay, so my last comment was just to wrap everything up, dealing with your author's agenda, which I pointed already to a couple things that you had put, but I just kind of wanted to summarize everything together. So I wrote, I felt that the end of your story was wonderful in terms of being a narrative. My only suggestion would be to revisit your opening paragraph and really draw the reader in and use more details to make it more of a narrative. So you immediately expressed to us your concern with the assignment, which you could do in your writing because that goes with your emotions and feelings. But I feel that you maybe could have started off just straight telling us about what happened. Another point on your author's agenda, you addressed your story being interesting. You wanted to know if the story was interesting enough, and I loved your story. I would love to find out how they did with the assignment and if you were pleased with what they turned in. I wish you would have included this in the last paragraph, but at the same time, it's great because you left me wanting to read more. So while I wish you included those details, it was also great for me as a reader because I wanted to keep reading and I wanted to know more. So great job, and I loved your piece and great narrative.